get into the timeline of the Charlie Kirk shooting, and then we got more updates from Governor Cox and things of that nature, and I'll go through this process piece by piece.
The person who fatally shot conservative activist and father of two Charlie Kirk is over after President Donald Trump announced the suspect is in custody. 31-year-old Kirk was the founder of the conservative youth activist organization Turning Point USA. He was fatally wounded on Wednesday, September 10th during a campus event in Utah Valley University in Orem, Utah. Authorities have identified 22-year-old Tyler Robinson as a suspect who allegedly killed Kirk. Here is a timeline of how the shooting unfolded and how Robinson was arrested. According to Utah Governor Spencer Cox, suspect Tyler Robinson arrived at UVU's campus at 8:29 a.m. local time on the day of the shooting, driving a gray Dodge Challenger. Bo Mason, the commissioner for the Utah Department of Public Safety, said authorities tracked the suspect's movements onto the campus.
Through the stairwells, up to the roof, across the roof to a shooting location.
At 12:07 p.m., a crowd awaits Charlie Kirk at UVU, the first stop on Turning Point USA's The American Comeback Tour. Supporters start chanting Kirk's name ahead of his appearance. Around 12:09, Kirk makes his appearance and throws hats out into the crowd of about 3,000 people.
All right, we're going to get started, everybody. You know how it works.
12:11 p.m., Kirk begins speaking, opening debate and answering questions from individuals in the crowd. At 12:23 p.m., Kirk is hit with a single shot to the neck, appearing to come from an elevated position on a nearby rooftop. Video shows Kirk being carried by 6 men to an SUV, which transports him to Timpanogos Regional Hospital. According to authorities, immediately following the shooting, the subject moved to the other side of the building, jumped off of the building, and fled campus into a nearby neighborhood. At 12:52 p.m., UVU sent out an alert that police are investigating and that a suspect is in custody. The person of interest is released after questioning. At 2:22 p.m., the Orem Police Department said the shooting suspect was not in custody and is still at large. At 2:40 p.m., President Donald Trump announces in a post on Truth Social that Charlie Kirk has died from his injuries, writing, quote, "No one understood or had the heart of the youth in the United States of America."
I will say Trump's behavior on this is very Trump and also very strange. I've talked about this before. He's like virtually incapable of like expressing grief in a normal fashion. And he did that here as well, where he had to be the first to announce that Charlie Kirk was pronounced dead, if you noticed. And also he had to be the first to announce that the shooter of Charlie Kirk was apprehended. They waited. They apprehended him at night, and they waited until morning for Donald Trump to go on fucking Fox and Friends and reveal this information. It is so crazy. Not only that, but also, if you want to know how little he gives a fuck, there's also this moment where they ask him, "My condolences on the loss of your friend Charlie Kirk. How are you holding up?" Let's hear what Donald Trump's response was to this question.
I think very good. And by the way, right there, you see all the trucks. They've just started construction of the new ballroom for the White House, which is something they've been trying to get, as you know, for about 150 years. And it's going to be a beauty. It'll be an absolutely magnificent structure. And I just see all the trucks. We just started, so it'll get done very nicely, and it'll be one of the best anywhere in the world, actually. Thank you so much. Your message.
Yeah, on 9/11, he went to the Yankees game, and he just sat there and he was fucking dancing. That was the night. That was the day after Charlie Kirk had been assassinated. So like, it's so funny to me that like conservatives will be like, this is bloody murder. This is the most impactful, most important figure, and for many conservatives, it probably is, right? Charlie Kirk was an incredibly important figure for a lot of conservatives, I guess, and they cared about him quite a bit. Trump is not one of those people, because I think he's just like it is impossible for him to care about anything but himself. That's my point. So they are just very cynically, I think a lot of the right has moved in a very weird fashion in the aftermath of this, or I guess perhaps expected fashion, like super sociopathic. People are salivating at the throne People are salivating at the prospect of like taking the throne and the mantle away from Charlie Kirk now that he's dead. Obviously, you got Nick Fuentes on the one side, really restructuring his commentary and trying to become the new wave and the new voice of the Gen Z conservatives. You have Stephen Miller. We just showed you. You have Donald Trump saying, you know, we're going to use Charlie's murder as a way to persecute political dissidents. You have the Steven Crowder going from number 2 largest conservative show to number 1. You have Ben Shapiro talking about potentially taking over Turning Point USA as well. So there are a million different things that these guys have done that basically shows, with the exception of like Candace Owens, I would say, that these guys don't give a fuck about anything, and certainly not about Charlie Kirk, the person, but more so about like what they can get out of the situation. Okay. Now, of course, before people say, Hasan, what about you? It's like, well, you already know my position. I'm not a friend of Charlie Kirk. I was his ideological opposition. So I think I have a different set of expectations here. Like, obviously, I'm not going to run around fucking celebrating this because it's infinitely, you're weird as fuck. Okay. It's incredibly close to someone like myself. But like, the reality of the matter is that with the exception of Candace Owens, I've seen very little like human emotion and reaction to this kind of thing. I'm pretty sure the Ben Shapiro takeover was fake. No, it's not real. It's not happening. But I'm saying that like people are posturing to take advantage of the situation to the best of their ability. They want it. I have seen his wife's press release as well. I don't know if I should like get into that because I feel like it's a little it's a little strange, like the way I mean, she's grieving is what I want to think, and therefore, you know, it's very strange the way she's like reacted to it as well. But let's take a look at what Trump was saying when he revealed that the Charlie Kirk shooter had been apprehended.
And we're going to look into that.
What do we do about our country with that? Because we have radicals on the right as well. We have radicals on the left. People are watching all of these videos and cheering. Some people are cheering that Charlie was killed. How do we fix this country? How do we come back together?
I'll tell you something that's going to get me in trouble, but I couldn't care less.
What about your fellow political streamer reaction? Who? I don't know who you're talking about, but I don't care. Okay, I'm not doing this. Like, I don't care. I don't know how other people have reacted to it, but it is so funny when motherfuckers be like, we couldn't get what we wanted out of you in terms of your reaction because it seemed like you were too traumatized for us to be able to farm it as though you were actually excited at the prospect. So we're just gonna move on and be like, well, what about these other people? Like, I don't know, man. Go take it up with them, okay?
The radicals on the right oftentimes are radical because they don't want to see crime. And we're going to look into that.
What do we do about our country with that? Because we have radicals on the right.
Yeah, I saw people say you had a sociopathic reaction. Wait, what? Who the fuck said that? They must have seen something entirely different. They probably got duped by like some other shit. Anyway, I'm not also in the business of like weighing in on whether someone has demonstrated like sufficient grief. Okay, we're not even talking about that at this moment. But yeah, there is also this going on. There's an ongoing smear campaign on Twitter that has led to all of right-wing Twitter targeting Hasan. Yeah, this is something that I have noticed as well. I think Elon. This is the reason why I said I think Elon Musk wants me to be killed. We're obviously going to be talking about that as well. Yeah, there is some very strange machinations on Twitter. In the past 2 days, a clip compilation of Hasan calling for violence and air quotes is beginning posted by right-wing accounts and has gone ultra-viral, millions upon millions of views. It was seemingly created by Tectone. It wasn't. It was created by a sex pest in the orbiter. I don't think Tectone even knows how to use editing software. Anyway, Dicktone posted it, who hinted at this. See first image, and it blew up and reposted by Right Angle News Network. Since then, Grums, Dan Saltman, Tectone, and the Quartering, Drew Pavlo, and other right-wingers have been spamming it. Some even saying that Hasan said these things after Charlie died. Elon Musk has replied several times. The compilation is a joke. The first one is him 3 years ago talking about Democrats needing to be better at debate rhetoric. He's being hyperbolic and is not meant to be taken literally. I know, but they clipped it in a way where it seems like I'm saying like the Democrats need to start killing people or something. The second is him reciting what some angry conservative said in a voicemail to a Republican politician that made him resign. Hasan was highlighting the anger people feel with their representatives. There's also a clip of Hasan talking about the ACP and Fuentes, calling again, not for a call for violence, but they're banking on people not knowing what the ACP is and doing what they always do, taking his jokes sincerely. Regardless, this tricked most of the right-wing Twitter, who are all calling for him to either be banned, arrested, deported, or killed. These right-winger influencers either don't understand or do that when Twitch doesn't ban Hasan for these out-of-context clips, it might convince very angry people that violence is the only solution. They're putting a massive target on Hasan's back. There's one tweet, the very last one from Tecton, where he completely fabricates quotes from Hasan. He's as good as putting a hit on him with the one about Kirk. Yeah. So as you can tell, it's like me with long hair talking about the fucking Democrats and their inability to address Herschel Walker with like aggressive tone. Yeah, there's a longer clip, obviously, that Elon Musk replied to. And Elon Musk has been highlighting these like nonstop for the record. Twitch is complicit in the murder of Charlie Kirk. Here's their CEO's favorite content creator. He admits he uses coded language for assassinations, all this stuff. Hasan's compilation of call to violence is damning and horrific. He definitely created an atmosphere where political violence was lauded and Twitch encouraged it. Slice him up. You need to gut him. New Jersey-based Muslim American Hasan Piker told his 9+ million followers to murder conservatives everywhere. It's just insane. But the last version of this was also Elon Musk basically adding Jeff Bezos and demanding that Jeff Bezos ban me from the fucking platform or some shit. But hold on. Where is it? Breaking. Numerous clips of Hasan Piker calling on his viewers to kill right-wingers are going viral. None of this is true. Okay. Incitement to murder, he says. And also, if that was true, I would go to jail, which is, of course, who knows? I mean, maybe the Trump administration will get their hands on this and go, well, this clip out of context is enough for us to take action. Who knows? But, yeah, he's got to be banned at Twitch. Come on. Elon Musk says yes. And the Hasan Piker calls for violence on Nick Fuentes. And that was me literally saying Nick Fuentes should debate the ACP guys. Like, that's it. That's all I said in that clip that they're talking about. I was like, I don't want to deal with Nick Fuentes. Let the ACP guys deal with him. Let them fight it out. Like, in terms of debating, which is really funny because these guys are also simultaneously saying that, Charlie Kirk was a beacon of free speech. Well, guess what? I was supposed to debate Charlie Kirk. So clearly that's, not something that I'm against at all. Anyway, Hasan Piker called for Jackson Hinkle's group, American Communist Party, to go out and kill right-wingers one day before Charlie Kirk was killed. Again, Drew Pavlov. Interesting. I thought that guy was a liberal. Hasan, we need to kill all landlords of the roads soaking their capital's blood. If you want to fix America, you should kill Rick Scott. Charlie Kirk, guys, someone's got to do it. Charlie Kirk gets assassinated. Hasan, wow, this is horrible. And can't believe this happened, guys. I don't condone this. Pretends to cry to seem human. Go fuck yourself, you terrorist-loving piece of shit, he says. None of this is real. Anyway, he's a desperate fucking charlatan. It is what it is. These things, no matter what happens, all I can do in this situation is show you what the actual clips are, what the actual context is. And if you see it in the wild, you can correct people if you want. Could you sue for slander? No, dude, it doesn't work that way. Please stop. Yeah. Elon Musk has now on 4 different occasions demanded or reposted like Dan Stalkman and is now is adding Jeff Bezos to try to get me banned. Not good. What that chatter was referring to earlier, I think it's purely sociopathic personally. I think it demonstrates almost no empathy except just immediate shock. To me, this speaks volumes to how many people worship this guy and he can't really react properly to someone dying. Wait, what? What is this? It's 100% false to say the left wanted him dead. However, there's an enormous faction for whom the distinction is meaningless who is celebrating this openly. People pointed out correctly Hasan had a sociopathic reaction. And then he posts this. And this was a sociopathic reaction. That's what this guy thinks is a sociopathic reaction. I think this is purely sociopathic personally. I think it demonstrates almost no empathy except just immediate shock. To me, this speaks volumes to how people worship this guy. Are you kidding me? He reacts with shock and horror and is very clearly upset by it. I had the exact same reaction when I saw the video. I hated Charlie Kirk and it crushed me. This guy looked at this video of me losing my fucking mind and was like, what a sociopath this guy is. Clearly he enjoyed it. Insane. That guy's a nobody. I mean, he's an example of like the way people have like lost their minds on this issue. But in any case, I do find the strange irony here, because like that dude, this is not like some low motion shit. Like Elon Musk highlighting this. This has got 91,000 fucking likes, bro. It's got millions, 6.2 million views. But yeah, it's the classic, my ideological enemies are incapable of engaging in metaphor. That's just never the case. They are unable to engage in metaphor. They will never be able to engage in metaphor. He must mean everything literally, right? That's what they do all the fucking time. And that's precisely what's going on here as well. Like I'm very clearly talking about, in most of those clips that they clipped that are like, 10 seconds long usually, I'm either talking about a metaphor in which like what Democrats need to get more aggressive in debates, or talking about how Nick Fuentes, I'm not going to debate him, but let ACP deal with him, like let ACP, the American Communist Party, debate him, or talking about how like there is so much discontent that people are unafraid to say their government name when they're like directly issuing a death threat to sitting congresspersons. And they just turn around and say, this is, this is very obviously like a direct call to violence. And it's funny because it's like from half of the clips are from like fucking 4 years ago, 5 years ago. One of them is like from 7 years ago. The richest man in the world, the owner of one of the most influential social media platforms on earth, the possessor of all sorts of U.S. NASA clearances, just sits on here tweeting incendiary nonsense and amplifying far-right conspiracy accounts. Yeah. Like, that's crazy. Multiple trans people in the area posted on September 9th that something big will be happening to Charlie Kirk tomorrow. Terrorist cell. Like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Talk about the kill Rick Scott stuff. I have a video on my YouTube page if you want to go find it. That was yet another instance where like Republicans were manufacturing outrage and misconstruing my words. I mean, like I said, all of those things I've addressed a million times over. You should make a YouTube video of you just addressing and shattering all this fabricated nonsense. Should I? What do you say when I tell you that those videos exist already? I have an entire channel dedicated to where they get those clips from. Do you think it matters to these people? Do you think they care about the truth? No, of course not. Yeah, because no one would go back and find all those individual videos. I mean, it doesn't matter. The debunking doesn't matter. I have done the debunking a million times over. It just, people don't care. They're not. You can only convince someone who is actually invested in the truth. If they're not invested in the truth, and this is not something that they're interested in at all, they're just like angry and they're looking for a target that they find to be appropriate, you're never going to be able to, like, you might be able to convince your parents who are just like, oh, I heard this guy that you're watching has said a bunch of violent stuff. You can have a conversation with them and be like, that's not the case. Here's why it's out of context. He's speaking metaphorically, blah, blah, blah. But like to the average onlooker online who has already established their worldview, who are just literally not reasoning, who are not listening to reason whatsoever, they're angry. They're looking for a valid target. I happen to be the most visible target that they can launch their endless anger towards. Yeah. Like the dude that Elon Musk retweeted, Dan Stalkman, has openly admitted that the truth doesn't matter as long as people are shitting on me. Like, he has said it before. He does not care. He thinks it's totally appropriate because I'm the singular most evil figure in American politics. The Rick Scott video was clear and concise format that lends well to debunking, though. Yeah. Yeah, they have a pretty sophisticated network of harassment that even journalists have written about at this point. Like Bloomberg wrote an article about it. The difference is, of course, like there's only one country's troll operations and troll farms that will take it to that level, and that country is Israel. And I think we all know I am an op to the state of Israel. So they will use their sophisticated influence peddling operation to elevate Gamergate style harassment campaigns and like try to legitimize them, because there's a network of newspapers that will always cover that shit too. New York Post, Jewish Insider, sometimes Fox News will do it as well. But yeah, if you're coming in here to be like, oh, well, you should do a debunking, it's like, we've had these issues many, many times over, you know? It's not new. All right, let's continue. So we got more stuff on Tyler Robinson as well.
Better than Charlie. At 4 p.m., Utah Governor Spencer Cox clarifies during a press conference that there is a person of interest in custody who is being questioned.
To whoever did this, we will find you.
At 4:21 p.m., FBI Director Kash Patel writes in a post on X that the subject, quote, for the horrific shooting today that took the life of Charlie.
You can be so obnoxiously hypocritical. You say people don't care about the truth, so they won't listen, but then say you stream on here to change those people's minds just so you don't want to make those videos anymore. No, dumbass. I already have made those videos. My point is, there are always going to be some who just don't want to see it or don't want to hear it. What the fuck's wrong with you? How is that obnoxiously hypocritical? I just said I already have done those videos and it doesn't work. As evidenced by the Kill Rick Scott thing, right? That video has 1 million+ views, chatter. The fuck are you talking about? Everybody's seen it. But that hasn't stopped Republicans from continuing to do that, right? We've been banned. Got 1.2 million views. Did that stop? Republicans from fucking bringing that up to say he's fomenting hatred and he wants to kill Rick Scott? It was very clearly that was not the case. It's also it's incredibly annoying they constantly battle with bad faith actors. Yeah, I know. I would never be able to do news coverage if I constantly was at the mercy of like the most cynical framing on every single issue. Look, I am perhaps the most visible leftist online. Okay. And with that comes a shit ton of political enemies, ideological enemies. Because of that reason, if I were to take it on every single time where someone was like deliberately misconstruing what I was saying, or just adding on to that pile and like making up new shit, for example, I wouldn't be able to do any coverage whatsoever. As a matter of fact, I want to go back to the timeline of how the Charlie Kirk shooting unfolded. And here I am trying to explain to people this other thing now.
Charlie Kirk is in custody. Authorities later say the person of interest was not the shooting suspect and was released after questioning. At 7 a.m. on Thursday.
Hasan, I've never seen you correct or take accountability for what you say. It's always out of context or misconstrued. I understand that does happen, but it's not always the case. Okay. Here, the Rick Scott situation is a perfect example. This is why I don't deal with bad faith actors, by the way. Okay. I said if Republicans, in a conversation that was taking place where Republicans were slated to cut $800 billion from Medicaid, which they are, by the way, they successfully pushed that legislation. The Speaker of the House said, Republicans care about Medicaid fraud. Republicans care about Medicare fraud. We want to tackle Medicare fraud. I responded to that by saying, if the Speaker of the House and the Republican Party broadly cared about Medicaid fraud, they would do the death penalty to Rick Scott. Okay. But instead of saying they would offer capital punishment to Rick Scott, I said they would kill Rick Scott. Republicans took that and went with Hasan wants Rick Scott to be assassinated. He's calling for the assassination of Rick Scott. They didn't even actually change the context whatsoever. They just straight up showed the actual thing that I was saying. But because of the language that I used in that instance, they were able to get a 1-day suspension off of it. I explained my position. I apologize for the words that I used in that moment. Okay. Taking the accountability that you are saying I do not take. And also went beyond and talked about why I was saying this about Rick Scott, making it a story about Rick Scott's historic Medicare fraud. Because the reason why I brought up Rick Scott and not any other fucking congressperson was because Rick Scott, when he was working for a private healthcare provider in the state of Florida, actually did Olympic levels of Medicare fraud. Okay? Not only did I take accountability for the language I used in that moment, But I also described it. And yet you're still on this issue claiming I don't take accountability whatsoever and it's always out of context. What am I supposed to do? Fair enough. I didn't see that. No, dumbass. That's the problem, because you don't see anything. You don't care about anything. You just operate off of the whims of what other people are saying. The very same people that elevate something that is not actually a significant piece of discourse to make it a sincerely, a sincere moment of accountability. Dumbass like you get duped by that. You go, oh, he doesn't take accountability for anything, because you don't know. You never chose to seek out the context. You never chose to actually find out what I was saying. You don't know anything at all. You just, in the background, in the periphery, heard some shit and you're just repeating it in here. And even after I describe it, you go, well, I just didn't know about that. So what am I supposed to do? There it is. Isn't that a big one, though, especially given the emotions on the Republican side, even if it's for the sake of the optics and convincing a fraction of people who actually search for information, even to marginally reduce safety concerns? Maybe, potentially. Yeah, the gut them thing is exactly the same. You're using scary words, but it's being metaphorical about winning a debate. Yeah, 100%. Like, if you look at the context of it, it's very clear what I'm saying. I'm talking about the Herschel Walker debate, the Georgia debate from many, many years ago. I don't even look the same. My background is different. My hair is different. But that doesn't stop people from going off on these ridiculous tangents, talking about how, here, this is what I was looking for. Here. Wingers. I'm sick and tired of it. Left wingers, liberals, you need to be showing your opponent's guts on there, okay? You need to be gutting them. You need to be shanking these motherfuckers and letting their intestines just ride on stage. What the fuck is this shit, man? Slice them up. Slice them and fucking dice them. What the fuck is this? You know what's really ironic about this, by the way? I defended Donald Trump when liberals were attacking Donald Trump about the Liz Cheney comments. No, not in Minecraft. I'm talking about fucking debating, dude. Shut up. You cannot have a bigger fucking layup. You could not have had a bigger fucking layup than a horrible candidate like Herschel Walker. Sure, he was prepared very well. And Herschel Walker actually had a good an advantage. He had the same advantage that Joe Biden had. What is that advantage? It's low expectations. When you are expecting Herschel Walker to go up there and drool, and he actually doesn't drool all of a sudden, everyone's like, wait a minute, it's pretty good. This guy's actually outperforming our expectations. I'm talking about debating. I'm talking about Democrats needing to be more vicious in the realm of debate. That's what I'm talking about. It's metaphor. It is a utilization of metaphor. Republicans only took the first half of that and they said, oh, Hasan wants to like kill people. Hasan wants Democrats to start stabbing people and killing them. It's no, you are clearly talking about physically slicing humans. Yeah, my expectation is that Nancy Pelosi start killing people. That's what they think. Exactly what happened with Joe Biden. But beyond that, he was not capable of crafting sentences. I cannot believe that the moderators routinely allowed him to get away with not answering the questions. I'll give you a great example of this, okay? I'm going to give you one like universal example of this. When people are cynical actors, when they're like operatives, okay? It's like if I were to say, I'm going to fuck your mom, and then someone on the opposing side goes, wow, I can't believe Hasan has issued a rape threat against my mother, right? That's not what that is, okay? That's not what that is at all, and everybody understands that, but if enough people actually cynically farm outrage, then you can turn something that is clearly not intended in that, not intended to be received that way, to turn into that. And I'll give you a political example of this with Donald Trump. There have been two instances where liberals took what Donald Trump was saying and made it seem as though he was actually, he was not speaking figuratively, but literally. Okay. One was with the Liz Cheney thing, right? And even my audience yelled at me for it because I defended Donald Trump's usage of the terminology, where I said he is saying that Liz Cheney is a chicken hawk, that she would not actually go out and fight these wars, but instead would send others to fight these wars at her behest. Okay, remember when Donald Trump said, Liz Cheney, if she really wanted to go fight, she would go, let's see how she would talk if she was in front of a firing squad or something, right? And everyone was like, Donald Trump wants to send Liz Cheney to the firing squad. And I said at the time, no, Donald Trump is actually talking about Liz Cheney being a war hawk, a chicken hawk, a classic concept, a politician that doesn't actually put their lives on the line, but can so easily discard others to go and die for her imperial ambition. That's what I said. Okay? I defended Donald Trump in that regard because it wasn't even defending Donald Trump. It was defending the truth. It was defending the usage of a metaphor. Another instance where this happened was when Donald Trump said it's going to be a bloodbath or whatever, and everybody fucking jumped on that. It's ironic that I have also personally done this when someone who I am ideologically opposed to has engaged in spicy language or the utilization of a metaphor. But of course, Republicans love doing the exact same thing that they yell when the liberals do it. Everybody does this. Okay? Everybody does this. Everybody claims they hate cancel culture, but they love utilizing cancel culture when it suits their purposes. Everybody loves talking about how they love free speech, but they always love to stop free speech from happening. And of course, there is, once again, a step beyond that as well, a step beyond metaphor as well. How do you feel about Elon's remarks against you? I don't like them. I don't appreciate it at all. But unfortunately, the owner of this website that I'm on, Twitter, has deep resentment for myself. So I don't know what to do. There's nothing I can do really other than just, continue existing in this world. The more resentful he becomes, the more insane he becomes. The more insane he becomes, the more he tries to agitate. You all realize how big of a deal this is, right? Elon Musk is directly calling out Amazon, Twitch, and Hasan. Something is probably going to happen finally. Just wondering if Amazon thinks it's okay to pay and promote someone he's paid by Twitch and Amazon who makes repeated calls for murder. It wouldn't be okay. Which is why I haven't done that. You can start a new employee-owned streaming platform? Yeah, totally, dude. That's what I can do. Let me go do that. He's trying to boost the algo to farm engagements with one-word sentences, FYI. No, I know. You might like are insane. Bill Gates, Andrew Tate, and SpaceX. I mean, come on. The website is fucking busted. Yeah. Meanwhile, he's fomenting race riots in the UK. It is odd. This is from 13 minutes ago. I mean, he's still doing it. But he's so bitch made. Like, dude, talk to me directly if you want to have a fucking issue. Why did you block him? Because it's unbearable when he's unblocked. His posts show so much. His posts still show up even when he's blocked, but at least they show up with less frequency. I've already addressed this when he tried to say I was a coward for blocking him. Last time he tried to call me a pussy and got fucking owned on his own goddamn website, as a matter of fact. The last 30 minutes of this broadcast are a perfect example of why you can't respond to these insane attacks all the time, because you wanted to talk about the news and now we have to use this time to relitigate all this nonsense against you again. I know. Do you find yourself as divisive? Yes, of course I find myself as divisive. Are you kidding me? Dude, there are people in this country, there are a decent number of people in this country who believe the most demented shit. Obviously, I'm going to say certain things that they find to be ridiculous. The problem is, larger and larger numbers of the population, due to like spending too much time online and breaking their brains through the algorithm, are becoming increasingly more insane. And it is no measure of mental sanity to be well adjusted to a mentally insane society, right? So yes, I am a divisive figure. I'll give you an example. Okay? Someone who was an anti-fascist would be considered a divisive figure in 1930s Nazi Germany. And they were both politically prosecuted and also literally shot and killed or sent to fucking concentration camps. Okay? That doesn't mean that they were wrong. I think we can understand that in 2025. All right? But they were considered divisive for the time that they existed and the things that they did. Let's keep
Thursday,
going.
September 11th, FBI Special Agent in Charge Robert Bowles announces during a press conference that authorities have recovered what is believed to be the weapon used in the shooting, a high-powered bolt-action rifle. At 9:56 a.m., authorities released images of the suspected shooter.
Hire me to make a Haas wiki with a common slander section, which I explain why these accusations are false with each other, having its own number in the future. You can just say see points 5, section 3, save you 30 minutes. I think that's actually not a bad idea. We should do that.